Hey YouTube, I know I don't do this often. This is going to be kind of a once in a while kind of thing. I was watching yesterday a Do Not Cry challenge by Steven Suptic. If you guys don't know who he is, just God, that's so bright. And let's get that in the frame. There we go. He talked about how there was a video that he wouldn't watch because he actually talks to the guy, and that was Syndicate, Tom Syndicate, YouTuber, Minecrafter, gamer, MLGer. I don't actually know if he does MLG. He did, I think. Um, I thought my computer was overheating. It doesn't when I just do this. But he made a video, and it was about him talking about his grandma and her passing and the condition she had, and it really got to me. And I don't really tell many people this. I'm 17, as maybe you guys know. I don't know if you click the about me or know anything about me. What about maybe 6 years ago? 5 or 6 years ago, yeah. When I was in 7th or 8th grade, I don't actually remember. It was a normal Friday, and I was just relaxing at home. I'd spent on Fridays. Me and my friend, we used to stay up 24 hours and just game all night, go to school together, talk, hang out, then go home and go to bed. So every Friday, my aunt and my grandma, they went out to bingo, and that was just kind of their thing, their little bonding time. And I was really tired and I was exhausted, so I went to bed. And when I woke up, my mom wasn't there. I was actually napping on my couch. My dad woke me up, and my mom was at home. And I'm like, "Where's mom?" And he's like, "I gotta tell you something. Um, your aunt collapsed and is now in the hospital." So I asked them what happened, and they said they really don't know. Skipped a few hours ahead after I fell asleep because I didn't think anything bad really happened. Like she smoked, but other than that, she was in relatively healthy condition. And so I wait and go to bed, and she has an aneurysm. She had an aneurysm in her, I think it's her frontal lobe. So frontal cortex, is that what it's called? I don't know. It's like up here. So she has an aneurysm and goes into a coma. They put her on breathing machines and feeding tubes and catheter, that kind of thing. And she was up in a hospital up in Mansfield. So it was about an hour. So my cousin, her daughter, stayed at the hospital most nights. And whew, it was hard. Lasted about a month, maybe two, of her being in the hospital. We had a great doctor, real nice guy. He had saved the patient who had her head cut off and it was hanging on only by flesh, and she lived. He was able to get everything back on. Everything worked. She's perfectly fine that I know of. And that gave us, the family, a lot of hope. I was skeptical about it. I didn't think she was going to live. And I felt like we should have pulled the plug a lot earlier. It would have saved us all a lot of heartbreak. So, as the weeks go by, the days, I was staying in the hospital over the weekend because school was still going on, and I had to go to class. So I think I took a week off to stay at the hospital, stay with my family, and we we just did nothing pretty much. We would go out and get some food occasionally just to get out of the hospital because she was in urgent care, like not urgent care, but like emergency care. She was with people who had like contagious diseases. Like 3 rooms over, people were going in with hazmat suits. They had a little decontamination room they went into, then came out. Things starting to overheat. And a few weeks in, starting to look really good. She was starting to breathe on her own. Still hadn't come out of the coma. She then got pneumonia, and it got worse. And it got really bad on the way home, or on the way to the hospital we were at, I think. Her house, because she had 3 cats, and we had to go feed them. So me and my cousin, and my mom, we drove up to her apartment, and we fed her cats. And we got a call from my grandma saying things were getting worse and we needed to get in the hospital. We drove back down to the hospital. My cousin's nose started gushing blood. She can't do stress. Those situations, her body just can't handle. And we get there, and she's still alive. She was at this point, and it was looking a lot worse. She had stopped breathing on her own. They had to put the tube back down her throat. Like, if you guys don't know what it does, but they like just take a tube and they shove it down the throat. It goes all the way down to the lungs, and it pushes oxygen in and out, I believe is how it works. But she had like her face mask on. She had a huge gash right here. It was really sad. If you guys haven't ever seen someone in that condition, someone you loved, I hope to God you never have to see that. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone else, because it's one of the hardest things to see ever. And it's just something I'm going to have to live with the rest of my life and have the memory of her. But my grandma and my grandfather would stay in the room with her every night. We went to my grandma's house, fed her cats too, because it's just a cat family. But that was around, I think it happened in January. So it's about February now. And things were starting to look up again. And towards the end of February, like the 28th or the 30th, things had gotten real bad. She was pronounced brain dead. My family still had hope. Me and my cousin talked about it. We both had agreed at the point that we should have pulled the plug during this situation, like this moment in our lives. And I don't really talk about this much at all. And I had not cried at all. I'm an emotional person, and I was surprised I didn't cry. I was there for my mom and my cousin when they cried, but I didn't. Then on the 5th, because the 3rd is her birthday, they pulled it a day or two after her birthday, so I think it was the 5th. And they feel like she turned 49, maybe 46. They feel like she had her birthday. Like I said, guys, she was really young, pretty healthy besides smoking, and they kept her alive till after her birthday. I don't know why they did. My opinion, it wasn't the right thing to do, but it wasn't my choice, and I wasn't there, which really hurt, because everyone else I loved and cared for there, including my cousin. About a week after, we had the funeral, and the funeral was the hardest thing for me. I was fine during, like, when we all arrived. We brought food, we all talked, we all had good memories, we shared our memories, and we enjoyed everything. We enjoyed snacking a bit, drinking pop for me, because little Brady can't drink. Me and my cousin talked a lot. My little cousin was there. She was about 9, 10, maybe. No, it should have been younger. It should have been like 8, maybe 7. I think she's 12 now. Um, and when it came time for all of us to sit down, started out fine. Then we started reminiscing and having all the memories, and then I just broke down. This was probably the hardest thing one of the hardest things that have ever happened to me. And I was really fucking young, and this is when I realized a great life lesson to know. Not in the best way. I broke down, and I'd always been there for my mom. And my dad was sitting beside me, and she was sitting beside him. And she started crying a little bit after me. So my dad started comforting her, leaving me alone at the edge of the aisle. I was sitting at the last seat, so in between two. My cousin was sitting across to my right, and she saw that, and I'll never forget what she did. And she just came over and comforted me. And it was just something I really needed. And that's the moment when I realized you're on your own in life, really. No matter what you do, who you help, it always comes down to you being there for yourself. And that's what I got from this, actually. I'm surprised I didn't cry here. I'm happy I didn't. I don't like putting myself through that, but I felt like I needed to kind of vent a bit. Not done a video in a while. Been going through some tough shit the past few months. Not that, but fuck it, we'll do a two-parter. But the worst part about that was the day she had her aneurysm. She called and she wanted to talk. I was awake, but I told her I was too tired, and I talked to her after she got done with bingo. Of course, after they got done, she died. She essentially died. And that was probably the hardest thing for me ever. And, yeah, but the second hardest thing that had ever happened to me was my grandpa dying. Now, my grandpa, he had heart failure and his lungs were filling up with water. And me and my dad went to see him one last time because we knew it was going to be the last time we saw him. And this was last year, just a few months ago, actually. And we got there. He was in real bad condition. I think they gave him a bit too much morphine. But we all sat around him. My dad, my aunt, my two uncles, they were reading Christian Science books and the Bible to him. They were reading scriptures from the Bible. And he was dying. He got a lot better after that day. He started walking a bit. He had a walker, but he mostly needed our help. While we were there, we went to a Walgreens, and we got one of those portable toilets that you can just put anywhere in your house and just bucket clean it out. And this was a really tough thing for me, because after my grandpa pissed or shit, I would hold him up. He would lean into me, and it was the best and worst moments of my. Oh god, I'm gonna cry. Fuck. Sorry. It was one of the most beautiful things that has ever happened to me. God, I'm gonna cry. It was so nice just to have him rest his arms, his head on me, his arms around my back, his head nestled into my shoulder, and my dad would wipe him and clean him, and I'd just hold him there. And it was the saddest thing that I have ever seen. A man that I looked up to my entire life just withering away in front of me. It was tough. Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Fuck. Oh, God. But we were there for a week, and he was like that the entire time. He got a lot better. At one point at night, he got up and he went to the toilet and he pissed on his own. And he got back into bed. He had a nurse who would come in and check on him. His bed was out in the living room because it was a huge room. And there was a lot of space for him to do what he needed to have the machines, his oxygen, his medicating machines. I don't think they had an IV bag or anything for him. But he was able to eat on his own. He was able to talk on his own. I'm getting a call from Oklahoma. He was able to eat on his own, talk, walk, kind of. He had to have a lot of help with walking. I was 16 at the time. I was a bit disappointed that I hadn't really done anything. He was still proud of me. He really enjoyed listening and watching videos of me and my school orchestra play together. We got him a few brochures and CDs. The last gift I gave him was a bird call CD. He loved birds. He loved 3 things: writing, 4 things: writing, pictures, birds, and his family. Art in general, paintings. I think we have some somewhere in the house. If I find any, I'll go throw some in at the end. But it was the best and worst moments of my life there. I had never been that intimate with a person. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just the reliability. If I wasn't there, he couldn't stand. Someone else would have to do it, but still. It's the feeling. I don't know how to describe it, guys. It's just. It was hard on everyone, especially my dad, because they were really close. He called him almost every 3 or 4 days. They like joking around. They had always gotten together. Well, because as a teenager and a child, my dad worked with him at his newspaper that he worked at, and he'd do columns in the paper for his dad. He'd take pictures at wrestling matches. He loved doing it. He got his creative writing skills from his dad, his art skills from his dad, the passion for art, that kind of thing. And he was just a great person. He rarely complained. He didn't do anything. But what's sad is he couldn't do anything that he wanted. He couldn't eat sweet foods, drink sweet drinks. He had the blandest, greasiest, most disgusting food. It was bland. It was, my aunt did all the cooking. My other aunt, that side of the family, did a lot of cooking, and she did all of the cooking for them. My grandmother couldn't have salt, neither could he. She's a diabetic. My grandma, I think he became diabetic. They had a lot of restrictions on their foods. At one point, he bloated up and almost died a year back. Now, a few months before that. But at the very end, my dad wanted to Skype him. And it was after hospice had come in. And if you guys don't know what hospice is, they just make people comfortable before they die. He was warned by my uncle that he wouldn't be able to talk, wouldn't be able to see, wouldn't be able to hear. They didn't know if he could hear or not. They knew he couldn't see or talk. And it was the hardest thing because my dad didn't understand at what level this would have been at. He couldn't comprehend it. The fact that his dad would just be there, not just lifeless, essentially. It was really sad. I saw him just laying there, staring up. He didn't have his eyes open. But my dad tried and yelled and hollered to get his attention, and nothing worked. But then he died a few months ago. It was rough for me, and it hurts, but I'm happy that I got to spend a week there because I was with family. I got to hold him, and he was there for me. It was beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it. It really was. But guys, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm sorry if I bummed any of you out. I didn't mean to. I just kind of wanted to get this off my chest and just say I've been where some of you are, and I know it's tough, but it gets better. That's what everyone says, isn't it? But it really does. You're never gonna forget. You're never gonna feel fine. It'll always be in the back of your head. There's no way to get over that. But so always look forward to tomorrow. And today is just gonna be in the past. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.